So Russell's here,
Hi, guys.
and why don't you tell us kind of what's been going on as we get into this?
Oh, a few things. Actually, I'd like to start with a few personal comments. Matt's already apologized for being blue. I'd actually like to apologize for being a little red. Yesterday, I went on a 6-mile hike wearing a bandana, and it looks like under these lights and in this blue light, you can't tell, but I look like I have a big white moon over the top of my forehead where my bandana was.
So I'm sure the podcast listeners are going, the video must be all screwed up. And the people who are watching the video are like, I'm watching it on Google and it looks just as crappy as before. I don't care what you guys look like.
Right.
Go ahead and talk.
Since I was out hiking yesterday, I didn't bother preparing anything. I decided to punt on today's topic because I've already been reading a book for a few weeks, and I'm going to get to that. But there is another personal thing I'd like to say first, which is that I just found out an hour ago that my grandmother has died.
Ooh.
I'm remaining cheerful by not thinking about it too much, but well, basically, she's been in a hospital for a while. We knew it was coming. My mother and her 2 sisters were in there with her. And they were reliving happy memories and singing old songs. So it was, and she's been incoherent difficult to talk to for quite a while, sort of in the last stages of her mind sort of fading away.
Right.
And as an atheist, I'm not scared of going to hell, but I will admit that I've always been a little unnerved by the process of dying, and I'm saddened by what she went through. It's mitigated a little bit by the fact that I will be getting some inheritance next year, which is nice, but anyway, I'll miss her. So, a few weeks ago, I got an email from somebody associated with Chuck Colson. Now, for those of you who don't know who Chuck Colson is, well, first of all, I don't know if you can maybe get a close-up on this, but he's this guy.
I think we can get a close-up on anything with these new cameras.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow, that's fast. Hey,
Yeah.
Yes. Here's Chuck Colson.
Remote-controlled, high-definition Chuck
And here's
Colson.
his brand new book, which I am emphatically not advertising or recommending. But I just thought I'd let you know what I've been reading lately. It's Charles Colson, The Faith. And there's an interesting backstory to that. And if you've been reading the Atheist Experience blog, atheistexperience.blogspot.com, then you already know the story behind that. But I'll recap it anyway. Charles Colson, to fill in, is basically has been an apologist for many years, ever since he did some jail time for his role in the Watergate scandal. His very central role in the Watergate scandal, from what I've heard. Colson went to prison, found religion, like many people do there, and then formed a prison ministry, I think several prison ministries. He mentions at least one called IFI, which ministers to many people.
Given this propensity for criminals who are locked away to find Jesus,
Yes.
it seems to me that one of the best things that Christian evangelicals could do is send more people to prison. And maybe that's why we have stupid laws that get people who haven't really done any real crime locked up because they know Jesus is tucked away in there and they'll find him once they get in there.
I hadn't thought of it from that angle, honestly.
That's why I'm here. to skew the conversation.
In fact, Chuck Colson does have an interesting commentary later in the book about how the people in prison that he talks to are way more eager to give religious answers to the question he asks than the general public. And that makes me think, if the general public says one thing and the guys in jail say another thing, maybe you should not take the philosophy of the guys in jail as the good idea.
Well, the other thing is that it doesn't surprise me at all that they'd be eager to give the religious answer. I'm pretty sure that the guy on the water board is going to be fairly eager to give whatever answer the individual pouring water on him is looking for.
Yeah. But I'm digressing.
No, I am. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we both are. We're
having fun.
gonna
It's
do that all
Memorial
the
Day
time.
weekend. We'll have the number up for you
We're
shortly.
not going to have many callers anyway,
Yeah.
so we can vamp a little, you know. So I get a message from some guy. I didn't print any of the email exchanges, but some fellow associated with Chuck Colson's organization, I think it's Zondervan,
Zondervan, they actually
printed that Bible.
they print the NIV.
What do you know?
It's yeah.
And I do believe that they are almost certainly the publisher of this book.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this title is also available in a Zondervan audio edition. Oh, good.
Say who reads it, because it'd be really cool if it was like read by Charlton Heston before he died.
Or after he died. That would be even cooler.
That boy,
See, if they had sent me that, that would convince me.
people call in all the time and say, you know, what would it take? What would it take to convince you? Get me Charlton Heston reading today's paper to me.
I could.
Pretty cool. I don't know if it'd convince me, but
Yeah, I don't know either, because I'm sure there are plenty of good Charlton Heston impersonators out there.
not only that, but the capability.
This is madness.
Yeah.
And that sort
The
of thing.
capability of computers to synthesize a voice. It won't be long before we may not be able to trust any.
Yeah, I know. They can already make computer guys look like
Yeah.
the actors, like in Beowulf, for instance.
I didn't watch it.
No, you didn't miss much.
I was busy. I don't know. Anyway, back to the
book.
That's going to be the key phrase for today. Back to the book.
Yeah, I have a feeling this will not be the last time we say that. And of course, if you guys don't call, I have a whole book here that I can read passages from. So
And if that doesn't
just
work,
warning you.
I have another book I can read passages from, and this one I can have a lot more fun with. You know, things
Yeah.
about spreading dung on your face. And anyway, back to the book.
I got contacted by some guy associated with Zondervan who said that Chuck Colson wanted to get in touch with atheist bloggers. And I don't know particularly how he picked me, although the fact that we have a blog called The Atheist Experience, and it's pretty high on the Google page when you search for atheist blog, must have made it seem like a good choice. I've heard from, so I forwarded the message on to Martin Wagner and Matt. Matt declined the offer.
Matt has enough going on.
Yeah, I bet. Martin is reading it, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from him as well. But it basically said we would like, or Chuck Colson would like to get in a dialogue with some atheist bloggers, so may we send you a free book? And as you can see, I accepted. Here it is again, Chuck Colson, The Faith.
Worth every penny?
At least, yes. Although, considering the value of my time that I've put in, no, I think, no, actually, I'm getting show material and blogging material out of it.
Cool.
So, he's given me something of value.
So, back to the book. Or story.
I'm not really sure what he wants out of this. You remember we talked to P.Z. Myers on the Nonprofits a couple weeks ago, and he suspects a trap, as he reasonably should. I've tried to mitigate the trap. I guess the trap would be selectively picking and choosing my comments to find the most juicy stuff that makes atheists look like horrible people, and taking it out of context. I've done my best to mitigate any potential trap by basically asking for ground rules of this discussion, basically saying any communication that we have, I want Chuck Colson to provide a link to the blog from the same place that he's writing the response. That way people can see what I had to say without being edited.
Right.
I don't even know if he'll honor that, and I don't know if I can enforce it if he decides not to, except by not talking to him anymore.
I actually think that they may very well likely do that. And part of the reason is...
They may agree to do what I did, what I said?
Yes.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I think that this is going to happen, and The atheists listening will probably understand this far better than anybody else. But the people that he's preaching to, his choir essentially, already think that we are either
Jerks.
evil or deceived or the unwitting servants of Satan, and comments that you and I make on this show, on the nonprofits, on the blog, that we consider to be not just perhaps innocent or neutral statements, but some things that we would actually look at as positives, those people would look at as negatives. So linking back to us, even with our best statements, still kind of, because the views are so in opposition, that we will make ourselves look worse in the eyes of the people who already think that we're bad. I mean,
Right.
it's as soon as I say, you could quote something like, I reject the concept of sin or thought crime, or we're fine with abortion laws the way they are, whatever. Those all make us look worse in the eyes of the people who already think we look bad.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing
I
you can do
think
about
there's nothing we can do about it, and the most we can hope for. My thought is basically, my dad, for a number of years now, I guess he's finished doing it now, but for a number of years he's been invited to the local high school humanities class to give a presentation on atheism. He's not the only one. They also have speakers throughout the year who talk about fundamentalist Christianity and Orthodox Judaism, secular humanism, Unitarianism, various different kinds of people. The guy who originally started the class about 15 years ago was one of my favorite teachers. So anyway, my dad goes and gives a presentation on atheism every year. I've even sat in on a couple of them. He does a good job. And every year he gets a bunch of mail back, handwritten mail from the students that says, I'm being asked to say thank you, Dr. Glasser, but I disagree with you. But in every batch of letters, he will get not just one, but several letters that said, I never had anyone give a voice to all these things I was thinking before, and you've really opened my eyes a little bit. Not saying they're going to become atheists, but just, I never heard your point of view before,
right,
basically. And that's what we do on this show, and I guess that's what I'll try to do for the readers of Chuck Colson that might show up at the blog and try to troll after this.
The Atheist Experience, where we give Dr. Glasser's point of view.
Yes.
No, I mean the atheist point of view. It's
Right.
shared.
Well, my dad is our Pope, He gives infallible orders.
Yes. He has instructed us. We are his robots. Which is a shame, because I've never actually met your dad.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, you should have. I mean,
No, maybe I did. Did he come down for... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
he's been here a few times
Back
over
to
the
the
years,
book.
but he hasn't been in a while. Yeah, back to the book. Didn't we say?
I have no idea when the number's going to pop up on the screen, so...
Right.
So let's get into
So
it.
yeah, I've been reading this book and thinking about a reply I'm going to compose. I've got a draft here which is not finished, but basically I kind of am leaning in the direction of, since those people are going to mostly think I'm a jerk anyway, I'm not going to try too hard to be neutral. I picked a few key points where I thought he was weak and decided to go on the attack. Let me give you an overview first before I get to that. Chuck Colson's pet peeves, and by the way, you can hear Colson sometime between like 7:30 and 8 o'clock. I'm not sure when, but if you listen to, what is that Christian radio station? 93.3 on the local Austin radio.
I'm proud to say I do not know what the local Austin Christian station...
I have it pre-tuned to number 4 on my dial.
Of course, since somebody stole the stereo out of my car, I don't have anything.
Oh,
to
I'm
reach
sorry.
That's all right. Rub it in.
Yeah. Ha ha. You don't have a radio. So anyway, if you listen to a Christian station regularly, then eventually you'll hear one of Chuck Colson's 5-minute segments called Breakpoints, and he talks in a kind of a voice like this, and he's very serious and very upset about many things. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're upset about a lot of things, but he's upset about very different things than we are. One of the things that he's upset, well, I mean, you know, the usual suspects. He's upset about liberals and atheists and radical Islam, which, you know, we're kind of also not too thrilled with.
How upset is he? I mean, is would you call this? Would you characterize this as a religious screed against those things, or is he more commenting on these are things that I think are causing harm in the world, and here's why?
Both.
Okay.
It's very much a religious screed. And very much a presentation of the faith. I mean, the first half of the book I found way more interesting because he was arguing against the things that are hurting our society, some of which I agree with, and some of which are me, so I don't agree with. Oh. And then the second half, and then he tries to make some arguments about how it's so obvious that Christianity is the truth. And then in the second half, he seems to sort of settle into the idea that we have accepted the fact that Christianity is the truth and starts yammering about the benefits of it, at which point he kind of lost me. I mean, he spends several pages of a chapter talking about the story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, which I admire the guy. You've heard of him?
I've heard the name. It's not ringing a bell as to what.
Bonhoeffer left Germany before the Nazis went into full swing. And he was a Christian pastor or something, and he taught in America. And then when World War II got revved up, and he heard about all these terrible things they were doing to the Jews, he returned to Germany after a lot of soul searching. And served as a double agent and eventually got killed and therefore is now a Christian martyr. Good for him. He did some nice things for people and he had religious motivation, which I don't agree with, but I think he acted heroically in the lives of a lot of people.
I'm not sure that it's fair to say, to characterize what he did as purely religious motivation.
But he wrote about his religious motivation as a major thing.
But that's the thing. And this may be a bit unfair to me, because you don't want to misrepresent or say, well, that's not really what they think, despite what they say. But the thing is, even with, I am under the opinion that even without his religious motivations, this is the sort of thing that only takes place with a person of certain character, a person who has things that they value and is willing to make incredible sacrifices to support those things that they value. And I think that while his religious motivation certainly was a part of it, and he may attribute it to religious motivation, I don't see where there's anything in his religion that necessarily supports what he did. I do think there's something about being a good, decent human being that supports.
Yes, I agree with that. And also, I've noticed that Colson has, of course, a very marked tendency toward confirmation bias. He really emphasizes the good things that Christians do and de-emphasizes the bad things. So, for instance, he makes the typical tactic of implying that Hitler was an atheist. Hitler and Bonhoeffer, of course, were on opposite sides, and so Bonhoeffer did very good things and Hitler did very bad things. But he blames Hitler on the lack of religious conviction.
Right.
And that is not the case, as I'm sure we've talked about many times before. What really bugged me, and this was sort of actually, let me mention another major theme that he has first, which is postmodernism. He can't stand postmodernism, and frankly, in a lot of cases, neither can I. I've read a lot of postmodernist literature, which I enjoy because it brings up interesting things to think about. In fact, I think I even did a whole show where my topic was postmodernism one time. But basically, postmodernism is sort of a questioning of reality and perspective, and sort of dismissing the idea that there's any kind of objective truth and everything is somebody's perspective.
It's very solipsistic.
Right. You could consider The Matrix to be a postmodernist kind of entertainment.
Sure.
And I love the hell out of the first Matrix. The other two, not so much. But so Chuck Colson is infuriated by postmodernists because he thinks that they're fuzzying the truth of reality and values. And I agree with him to an extent there, because I know that postmodernists of some flavors really have it in for science. They want to say that science is just another religion and it's just as arbitrary, and how do you know anything, and blah, blah, blah. And if you know my perspective from this show, then you know I don't hang with that. But of course, Colson has a tendency to lump everything he doesn't like together. So the postmodernists and the atheists and the radical Islamic fundamentalists all have this big coalition that is, and even the liberal Christians, the not quite so scary fundamentalist Christians, they're all out to get him.
Yes, and I have a meeting this
Together.
afternoon with LaVeyan Satanists, hedonists, objectivists, and I think Osama, but I'm not sure if he's coming.
Yeah, well, Morgan Spurlock went to find him. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know if he found him or not.
I think we'd have heard about it.
I think so, yeah. So something about this rant on postmodernism really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because what was bothering me overall was that what Colson refers to as the truth, and Chapter 4 is called The Truth, what Colson refers to as the truth oftentimes is just his subjective opinion with the addition of unwavering certainty. Whereas what I consider the truth, I believe that there is truth. I believe that an objective world exists outside my mind, but I also believe that everything I think about that world has the potential to be wrong, which might actually be kind of a postmodernist way of thinking in a way, but I don't dismiss the idea that there is a reality.
Yeah. But before we get into detail, I think, is line 1 long distance? Did we confirm that?
I don't think they have any way of communicating
Let's
with
go
us.
ahead and, yeah, well,
All right.